All right, so we're diving into the world of composers. You'd think, I don't know, it'd be all sonatas and concertos, yeah?
Hmm.
But then you get someone like Meredi 𝗧𗕗𝗓,
Yeah.
and the sources you sent, they really have me kind of intrigued. I don't think this is your average composer deep dive.
I think what's really fascinating about her is that she creates her own kind of sound world.
Okay.
It's not just classical music, but she weaves in electronica, Armenian folk music.
Sound world, that's interesting. It's
Yeah.
like you're not just hearing the music, but you're stepping into this entirely different place.
Right.
What would you say is distinct about her sound world?
Well, I think it's a refusal to be put in a box. You know, some of the sources I was looking at, they compared her to minimalist composers like Philip Glass. But then others are mentioning electronica influences like Aphex Twin, Fortet.
Wow.
And then, of course, you have the presence of her Armenian heritage.
Yeah, and even I know that those are all like wildly different sounds.
Yes.
So how does she actually weave it all together?
It's not just about sticking genres in a blender.
Okay.
Like if you take, for example, her symphony Armenia, instead of just adding some traditional Armenian instruments to an orchestra, right?
Right.
She's weaving those textures, those melodies, into the actual fabric of the composition.
Interesting. It's like those old tapestries, right? Where
Yeah.
you see the traditional patterns, but they're maybe woven with modern materials or unexpected colors.
Right.
So the craftsmanship is both really familiar, but then also kind of surprising.
Totally.
Yeah.
And some of the sources mentioned her piece, Whispers from Yerevan.
Mm.
And she uses the Armenian duduk. It's
Mm.
this really ancient woodwind instrument
Oh, okay.
alongside these like pulsing synths, you know, and it creates this really haunting, almost otherworldly atmosphere.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes me want to hear it. It's one thing to say blending genres, but to actually make it a cohesive experience,
Yeah.
that's special. And, you know, one thing that really jumped out at me looking at all this
Yeah.
is how global she seems to be, you know?
Right.
Born in Armenia, based in Berlin and LA.
Yeah.
That's a less ordinary life, I think.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, even for a composer.
And you can see that like global perspective in her collaborations too.
Yeah.
Which the sources really highlight, like the people she works with, the films she scores.
Right.
It's a real international network.
Which makes sense. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're drawing on all these different cultures in the music itself,
Sure.
why not work with artists from those cultures too?
Yeah, no, it's like her music becomes this kind of meeting place for these different traditions.
Okay.
For example, one of the sources mentioned a collaboration she did with a Japanese taiko drummer.
Oh, wow.
And you can hear that, like, powerful drumming woven right into her music alongside, you know, those Armenian folk melodies.
Oh, wow.
It's not just, like, paying lip service to these influences. It's like
right.
a real conversation.
Okay, so we've got this amazing blend of influences, this global perspective.
Right.
But then there's this. She signs a deal with Deutsche Grammophon. Now, I know a little something about classical music and
Yeah.
Deutsche Grammophon.
They're the big leagues.
Yeah, they're not exactly known for signing artists who color outside the lines.
No, they have a certain reputation.
So what do you make of that?
I think it's really interesting. It tells us she's not just some niche artist.
Right.
This is a major label saying, we believe in this artist
Yeah.
and her vision. And it makes you wonder if this is kind of a shift for the classical music world, you know?
Oh, interesting.
This willingness to embrace something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty impressive, right? Blending genres, working with artists all over the world, signing with a huge label. But I'm guessing some people listening might be thinking, okay, this is cool and all, but what does it actually mean for me? You know?
Right.
Like, I'm not some classical music expert. Why should I care?
And that's the beauty of it, you know?
Okay.
You don't have to be a classical music expert to connect with this.
Okay.
It's about more than just like the notes on a page.
Yeah.
It's about pushing boundaries, challenging expectations.
And there's that phrase again, challenging expectations. What does that actually, I don't know, look like in the real world, outside the concert hall?
I think it's about being open to new experiences,
Okay.
to things that might seem outside our comfort zone at first.
Mm.
It's about recognizing the value in different traditions, different perspectives.
Yeah.
Like her journey reminds us that those combinations, those fusions of things that seem totally different,
Right.
that can create something truly unique
Yeah.
and exciting.
So it's about more than just the music then.
Yeah.
It's kind of about how we approach the world around us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about, you know, having the curiosity to say, what happens when we blend this with that?
Yeah.
What happens when we step outside our usual way of seeing things, like embracing that sense of discovery
Right.
and seeing where it leads?
I like that. And for anyone listening who wants to experience that for themselves, Meredi's Flourish EP, it's out now on Deutsche Grammophon. A chance to check out this, what was it, this sound world.
Yeah, her sound world.
We'll be sure to put a link in the show notes.
And, as you listen, think about some of these things we've been talking about. What surprises you? What resonates with you? What stories do you hear in those sounds?
That's a great question. Great place to leave it. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.